This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Hello, everyone. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing, and we're going to do a topic we haven't done in the 4 years we've been doing the show, but it is essential, it's critical, it weaves through everything that you do to really be successful, not only as an author, but in your presentations, in your pitching, in anything you do, and it's called bragging. With me, we have a national bragging expert. Actually, I should say international. She's recognized as a business advisor for over 2 decades. Jeanette Seibly has helped thousands of people work smarter, enjoy financial freedom, and realize their dreams now. She has the unbelievable, uncanny ability to help her clients identify roadblocks and help them focus to quickly produce unprecedented results, which is exactly what we authors are looking for. We want soaring results, and we actually want them fast, right? Anyway, each of her clients has their own unique challenges, and certainly authors do. And with Jeanette's gifts in helping each one create the success in their own unique individual way, and that's really what's critical, to tie it in and bring it about. She's the author of several books. We'll talk about them as we get along. But I think what we want to do is really learn how to get our brag on. So, Jeanette, welcome to AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
Thank you, and thanks for having me today. I'm looking forward to talking with the audience and helping them learn how to get their brag on.
Which is something that, you know, if I was with a group of authors, I do a once a month Saturday meeting, the AuthorU circles in my home. It's just a casual, it's a freebie. Anyone who's in the Colorado area is welcome to come. And the ticket to come is, number one, you have to register for it. But 2, you have to bring something healthy to share. And so there's always snacks, and then I supply all the coffee and tea that they need. But it's just kind of a 3-hour marathon, and we were having a discussion actually on Saturday, and actually we were talking a little bit about your book, and that the inability, the not wanting, it's not really so much the inability at times, it's not wanting to boast, to pat yourself on the back, to put yourself out there. And for authors, most of them would rather be writing. And what they have to learn, and I've said this many times, is that when that book is written, you are done writing. You are now putting the hat on that you are no longer the CWO, the Chief Writing Officer. You're the Chief Marketing Officer. And maybe we need to call it the CBO, the Chief Bragging Officer. What do you think?
Exactly. That's a great point. Yeah, a lot of us have been brought up through life being told that bragging is wrong. You know, we were taught through the educational system. We were taught by our parents. We were, even our companies, our friends get upset, if we share who we are. And a lot of times it's because of how we do it. I remember reading somebody's LinkedIn title, and they said something about being a highly intelligent, qualified professional. And I thought, oh, my goodness, that's no wonder they're still unemployed, right? I mean, how is that going to differentiate them from everybody else who's highly intelligent and a qualified professional? And it's the same as authors. Too often we get caught up in, hey, I wrote this book and you should buy it. But that doesn't really tell me why. So I find the whole thing just fascinating. There's this little voice in between our ears that says, oh, it's safer to write a book than to sell it, right, to your point. And the thing is, we need to put aside the fear and really look to see what is it that we want our not our authors, but our readers to understand. Most people don't write a book to simply write a book. At least I never have. I write because there's something I want to help others learn or to take on such that they can be successful. And again, that's why I wrote the Brag book. I have, been in the business world for so long, 3 decades, and it's sad to me that there's so many highly qualified people out there that don't know how to sell themselves. And I have a saying that I say is, if you can't sell yourself, you can't sell your product, your services, your ideas, or your books. So that's why I wrote It's Time to Brag.
Yeah. So I think one of the questions is, and this is so valuable because this is really our first show of the new year. Here we are in 2017. So that when you're thinking of, and also we should let our listeners know that if they're in the Colorado area, they should come hear you in person because you're going to be talking about this at the AuthorU Saturday morning meeting on the 5th, correct? Just in a couple of days.
Yes. On January 7th, this Saturday.
Oh, 7th.
We're
See,
be...
wrong day. Right, you're at the 7th. This is the 5th. All right. I'm there. I'm sorry.
So, January 7th. And we're also going to have somebody who really knows how to brag and is in considered one of the top 50 Forbes social media influential. Vivica von Rosen's also going to be one of our speakers and knows how to brag. So it's going to be a really great Saturday for people to come and learn how to get themselves out of that little comfort zone that they put themselves into and out there such that they sell their books, they get the speaking engagements, they attract the interest. That's the whole point.
So Saturday the 7th is all about getting your boast on. Get your brag on, get your boast on. But it's really a great boost. Oh, now I'm doing this. Now I'm doing the iteration. Brag, boast, and boost. It's really starting the boosting out that you want to early on in the game. And there is this holdback that we all have. Not all of us, but many authors do have. And that, whether it's a momism or whether it's a teacherism or whether it's whatever. And I find actually, Jeanette, it's a lot more a female thing early on that, nice girls don't brag. And my attitude is nice girls brag big. But that you really...
Because no one's going to do it for you.
Well, it exactly is. So, I'm gonna leap back now. You had a question that, why did you write this book? And I think that's great to talk about why you wrote the book. So if you wrote the book because you had just an awesome story to tell, then that's great. So how are you going to get it out so people can find your awesome story? And that's where they get stuck.
Exactly. This really started with the career edition of It's Time to Brag. I had been working with people who are unemployed as something that I did to help others who needed to get that boost to find a career that they really fit. Because a lot of, over 71%, I believe, is the most recent Gallup poll that says 71% of the working population are in jobs that don't fit them. And so a lot of that's because we don't take the time to really look to see what have we done and what have we done well and what is it that we enjoy. So I had done 13 presentations back in 2009. That's before I actually even wrote the book. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because I had standing room only. It was out of the 13, I think 9 of them were standing room only. And the reason why is because I showed them how to brag. And then we talked about how to interview for a job. We then talked about how to network for a job. Because if you don't know how to brag, you don't know how to sell yourself, people just don't have the time to listen. And that's what started this. was the time
And
to
you
brag.
know, thinking back 2009, now we're going back 8 years ago. Whoa. 8 years ago.
I can't
that-
believe it, can you?
Yeah. But think about the advances in technology and the things that have evolved and happened during this period of time. That 8 years ago, people actually had a few more breaths that they could take in almost setting the stage for a really awesome type of brag hook. And with some of the technology and the way people listen and react, it's got to be done faster, better in a lot of ways. So what have you seen? Yeah, what have you seen evolve in that it's the type of pitching, that hooking that you have to get to also reinforce you are the go-to person for this topic, this storyline, this entertainment, or whatever it is that you want to do the brag on?
Well, it's interesting, having been in the hiring profession for several decades. You know, it used to be you'd ask somebody, tell me about yourself, and they would drone on for about 15 minutes. And, I mean, there was, you know, and it's something that started with people. They started to do that, and what they quickly found out is nobody's going to listen, number one, and number two, if it's in writing, no one's going to read all of that. And so you fast forward to today, and whether it's in your career or as an author, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, because there's a lot of people out there pitching, you know, to investors for angel funding. And if you don't know how to pitch, if you do not know how to sell yourself, it just isn't going to happen, because you have to do it short, really short. I always train my people to do it in 10 words or less, that opening statement. And you'll either catch their attention or they won't. So, for example, if I said, you know, I'm at a business network meeting, or say I'm standing in front of a group of authors, and I'm talking about, you know, one of my business books, and I said, good morning, my name is Jeanette Seibly, and I'm an author, or I'm a business advisor, people are going to yawn, right? It's like there's nothing new, there's nothing enticing in that statement. But if I say, good morning, my name is Jeanette Seibly, I'm an international and award-winning business advisor for the past 24 years, and along the way guided the creation of 3 millionaires, those people who are up to a big game in their career, in their business profession, are more likely to listen. I've grabbed their attention. Wow, she must know something if she's been at it that long and has, you know, had those kind of results.
Well, I think that's a truism, you know. So when you have that coming in, number one, you establish your expertise very quickly. You're not green. And basically you're long in the tooth in experience. So therefore, pay attention, people. I think that's what really people need to get out. I mean, I have to tell you, Jeanette, it always blows me away, these life coaches who are 22 years old, and I want to go, really, what have you done in 22 years that's going to give me?
But that's interesting that you bring that up, because just because they're 22 years old doesn't mean they don't have an experience that can help others.
There's no question. No question.
Yeah.
Everyone's got experiences.
Yeah. If they just say, I'm 22 years old and I'm a life coach, well, you know, but if they brag a little, people aren't going to be concerned about their age. I mean, it can work, you know, conversely, too. If you say you've been at it for 40 years, in today's world, people might say, oh, they're really long in the tooth, and guess what? They can't help me because I'm a millennial, right?
Well, and then they have to bring that experience up to show how they have connected and done things for that millennial age group. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with our expert today on bragging about your books and boasting it to rock star success. This is AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join AuthorU today through its website at AuthorU.org. Follow AuthorU on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. AuthorU, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Every picture tells a story, and it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
One of the most important decisions you will ever make is your choice for printing your book. You are choosing a company which will be responsible for guiding you through the process and printing your book at a level of quality and detail that embraces your personal and creative needs. You want to choose a company that when your book finally arrives, you are delighted and ready to move on to the next level, and one that is customer focused. Choose King Printing Company and Addy Books to be that company that brings you to the next level. Go to kingprinting.com or call 978-458-2345 and ask for Tom Campbell.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so we kind of set the stage a little bit. Jeanette is with us. And Jeanette, tell us about your book a little bit, the latest one on bragging.
Well, the latest on bragging is called the Business Edition. And what I was finding when I've sold over 300 copies of the Career Edition, but what I was finding was people are saying, but this is for looking for a job and I'm in sales. So right. I need some help getting out there, these business network meetings. You know, I attend a lot of them, but boy, it's a lot of work. So what do I need to do? And so that's why I created the Business Edition. The front end has the same 5 amazing steps that you go through exercise to learn how to sell yourself. But then on the back side, instead of talking about interviewing and job networking, we talk about business networking. We talk about how to be mindful, because as a salesperson, as an author, as anyone out there selling themselves like a consultant, entrepreneur, it can get kind of lonely. So what the point is the book not only helps you learn how to brag, but the added benefit, which is really cool, is the inner confidence. It's just amazing to me, and it doesn't matter what age you are. I remember a woman who is a realtor, and she became, out of learning how to brag, or had gone into the top 2% of realtors nationwide. But what was really, really fascinating was that her teenage son was being bullied. And so she didn't know what to do, so she goes, well, I'm just going to sit down and take him through the brag exercises, right? And guess what? It worked. He really got, oh, I've done that. Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, cool. And so that inner confidence is so important because 90% of what we're communicating to people is nonverbal. And if you don't have the confidence, you're trying to mask, and try to showcase yourself as being a highly confident person, but you're not, it usually can come across. So that's the point in the book, is to help people gain that confidence and differentiate themselves from everybody else out there trying to sell the same or similar product, service, or book.
Okay, so give our listeners the full title of the book.
The full title of my most recent book is It's Time to Brag Business Edition. And then for those people who are looking for careers, because they may, our authors may have someone in their family looking for a job or looking for a promotion, they would want to get It's Time to Brag Career Edition.
Well, and that's and I think that you all need to understand that think, well, gee, I'm a writer, that doesn't relate to me. Get over that. That all the points, and we're going to go through some of these key points, are critical, whether it's career, whether it's business, whether it's writing, whether it's authoring, whether it's even planning on your round-the-world trip. There are different things that you do that are all copacetic with each other. And it always amazes me when I work with authors, whether they're fiction or nonfiction, the fiction thinks they have nothing in common with the nonfiction. You have everything in common with the nonfiction. And but they seem to want to segment themselves, Jeanette. It always amazes me. It always amazes me. And it's all together. Well, let's jump into some of these factors. And you talk about the amazing steps, because if authors do want to sell more books, if they want to schedule more presentations around their books, and they want people to buy books for gifts for other things, that learning how to brag is really, to me, elementary in this process. That you've got to bring that out. So that I think we've established that bragging can make a positive difference. So what are those key factors?
Well, I'm going to give you a couple, and then for our listeners, we need to have them show up on January 7th to figure out the key secret there.
So one of those. Turn to page 8 in my book. But, and I do want to say for all our listeners, if you're not in Colorado, because this is an on-site presentation, we're doing it, it doesn't matter. We video everything, and you can register and attend remotely and watch the video at your leisure. You'll get the full video of the program. So I'm just going to give you a heads up, and you get that information. All the details are at AuthorU.org, and just go under events, and you'll find it all. Okay, so let's get into some of these goodies.
Okay, so the first goodie is what I call them KTAs. So it's called knowledge, talent, and achievement. And that sounds pretty simple, like, oh, no problem. Wow. Pretty easy to do. And the fact is that it can be easy to do, but I have had people go through these exercises and actually cry through them. So there was a woman who'd been unemployed for 18 months, cried through the whole exercise, and 2 weeks later was reemployed. So the point is, it does work. But the first thing is we want to look at what are you knowledgeable about. And here's where you want to just list anything and everything. Whether you're 13 years old, 17 years old, 22 years old, or 72 years old, or anywhere in between, everybody has knowledge of something. Write it down. And it's interesting because a lot of things that we write about as authors whether it be how to grandparent, or if you're a psychotherapist, or if you're a business coach, or if you're an author's coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you come down to writing things that you're knowledgeable about, like in your case, you write publishing, coaching, selling your book. I mean, those would be things as examples for people to put on under their K for knowledge. And then the next one would be talent. That's the T. Talent is we would take the one thing that you're knowledgeable about. Remember, you could have hundreds, but you'll take one at a time and go through and put a verb to it. So publishing may be getting books published, right? Or it could be getting, helping somebody find an advisor, or not a publisher. There's a word I'm trying to think of.
Agent?
A person that will help you, an agent, that's what I'm thinking of. Mm-hmm. Help you get an agent to sell your book, whatever it is that you're up to, or self-publishing. I know that Judith does a wonderful job in helping to support all of us authors who are members of AuthorU, and even those who aren't, but, follow her and read her publications. It really makes a big difference in helping us self-publish. So that may be something that would be under Judith's talents. Mm-hmm. Then we get to achievement, and that's where the secret sauce is. That's where the rubber hits the road, and that's what we're going to be sharing on January 7th. Or if you can't wait that long, get the book. So either way, there's a secret to that makes a difference.
So in achievement, though, is it has to go back. Are you talking about the bragger? I'm just going to say the braggers, since we're doing that. Their personal achievements of what they do with combining their knowledge and their talent? Correct. Okay.
We combine talent and knowledge, and we come up with the achievements, but there's a particular way that we write them that all of a sudden people get either confronted or excited. Eventually everyone goes, wow, I did that, you know what I mean? But that's where it's the secret sauce. That's where the secret ingredient in when you're speaking makes all the difference in the world as to whether or not somebody is going to pick up your book and read it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, Jeanette, you talk about the truths, and I think you have 3 big ones you identify. Why don't you go through those?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
The truths. You talk about the truths. You actually mentioned it in our last segment that if you don't sell yourself, if you can't sell yourself, you can't brag about yourself. How in the world can you expect to sell a product, a service, an idea, consulting, a concept, or oh my gosh, gulp, the book? So that's a real truth all authors have got to grasp very quickly, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's just a reality. It's something that was the phrase that was coined to me by somebody who has done an amazing job of building a huge organization in northern Colorado. And she basically gave this to me, and it says, if you can't sell yourself, you can't sell your product or service. And I've added on your ideas or your book. And that's just the reality. But here's the other piece of that, is you need to differentiate yourself. Everyone wants to sound like everybody else, but the problem with that is that, we have millions of books out there. We have hundreds of books on for children. We have hundreds of books on how to care for seniors. We have hundreds of books on how to become a millionaire, right?
Exactly. Yes, the duplicate factor. It's like when someone comes into my office and they have another book on leadership. Gag me. All right,
exactly.
So what is unique and different with your method, your technique, your experiences, your outcome from all the other leadership Joes and Josephines out there? And that's really hard, I think, for a lot of them to do.
Well, it really is, because the truth is, if you can't sell yourself, I'm going to repeat myself, you can't sell your product, service, idea, or book. Here's the other truth to that, is no one's going to do it for you. I remember posting on Facebook last year that said, if you're a really good person and you do really good deeds, that people will tell other people about you. It's like, nah, that's not quite how it works. People have become very self-focused. And if you don't know how to sell yourself, if you don't know how to brag, if you don't know how to differentiate yourself, it really doesn't make a difference to other people. So it's something you got to do yourself. And then there's the third truth is that people enjoy reading books that are written by authors that know how to share their brag statements. And here's really a fascinating thing I did in preparation for today's radio interview is I've got some statements from authors. Now, these are published books, right? And I enjoy most books I read. Not all of them, but most books I read. So here are what I call yawn statements. You ready?
Yes.
So so-and-so has a broad background in da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Her current focus is on helping clients. That's her brag statement. Now, that's not a brag statement, but I call them yawn statement, right? Here's another one. So-and-so is widely known for many years as a so-and-so and so-and-so. Here's another yawn statement. So-and-so is an acclaimed minister and written other books. Now, you can see that basically listing titles, education, or normal words like helping and generating are not differentiating you from anybody else. And what we want to do is look at why are we writing this book? Why are we a credible source? And why would a reader want to spend time reading it? And it's what you just said. You want to find out what makes them uniquely qualified and what is their primary focus for writing another leadership book or another book on helping seniors, right? So here's a couple ones I really love. These are great brag statements.
Right. So let's hold on that. We're going to come back, take another quick break, and come back on creating that unique factor so you can sneak up on other people and grab them and just say, "Whoa, stop." We'll be right back. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing. With me is brag expert Jeanette Seibly. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
Want to publish like a pro today? Well, then take a look at Ingram Spark, the only publishing platform that offers print and ebook services through a single source. Upload, edit, and manage titles all in one place. Take more control of printing costs with print on demand, and reach even more readers through one of the world's most extensive distribution networks. Built by independent publishers for independent publishers, Ingram Spark has everything you need to maximize your book's potential: color printing, ebook distribution, print on demand, global reach, and more. Start publishing with Ingram Spark today and see just how far your titles will go tomorrow. That's ingramspark.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so I cut Jeanette off because I wanted her to not reveal a couple of these because she gave examples of the yawn factor. Another one, Jeanette, by the way, is that when I read someone, Dr. So-and-so is the renowned blah, 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 blah.
Yes. Exactly.
And I see that all the time in a lot of the professional circles. They would use acclaimed, which you used. Renowned is the other one. And I try to axe that off right away, where it would have been far better is Dr. Smith has changed the lives of over 30,000 patients needing hip replacement. Oh, okay. You've already said he's an expert. Okay.
Wow, you took it from a yawn to a brag immediately. See how easy that was?
Yes.
Cool.
All right. Off the top of my tongue, head. Okay. Ready to go. All right, your turn.
Okay, so these are from a couple of books that I'm currently reading. So-and-so is the New York Times and #1 international best-selling author of 15 critically acclaimed novels. Now, if you're trying to balance, do I read his book or do I read somebody else's book, that one right there is a great brag statement and is very enticing. Another one is so-and-so spent 12 years as a reporter and editor for the Chicago Tribune, where she won a Pulitzer. Now, again, that would be a slightly different genre from the other person, but it really is enticing. It's something that's going to attract. It's someone that says, hey, this person knows what she's talking about because the story was set in Chicago.
In Chicago, and also sets it up for potential Chicago fans. So if there's other people who just want to find out about Chicago, I mean, as a book coach here, I'm going to put my book coach hat on. A lot of people don't realize that your geography, your location, your scene setup can become a true character in a book. Whether it's fiction or nonfiction, the setting up becomes really part of it, and people who love where that's where historical fiction comes along. I'm working on a book right now that deals with the really a wonderful Celtic influence. That people who embrace that or are attracted to it will immediately, the magnet is already starting to suck them in, literally. So never forget that.
Exactly. Great point. So bragging is important. And I think we've talked about that in such a way that helps our listeners better understand that, we brought up in this paradigm that bragging is wrong. And what Judith and I are telling you today is that's no longer true. You need to brag in order to be able to sell your book. You need to brag in order to entice readers to want to read you in the future as your new books come along. It's important to brag when you're pitching yourself to do a presentation or in speaking engagement, because a lot of these event planners just don't have the time to listen to you go on and on for several minutes. I remember meeting a woman last year at an event, and I said, oh, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. And all she did was go on and on and on about her book and why it was so important for companies to do it that particular way. And I thought, oh, my goodness, I checked out, after the first minute. But she went on and on for another, 10 minutes. So the point is most people aren't going to stand around that long, right? Most people are only going to give you about 15 seconds to introduce yourself. And if they're interested, they will ask you questions. But if you keep repeating yourself over and over and really just hitting it like, everyone should want to do that, and this is why they should do it. Again, that's not bragging. That's not enticing. That's not attracting to you potential readers or event planners or companies that want to hire you.
And that's really what's critical. And I'm always amazed, Jeanette, that authors just struggle with getting that down into a short, succinct pitch of what they do or what their book is about or what the benefit is. Or one of the things, one of my tips is that when you're speaking to a group, it would be absolutely smart with a capital S to understand what the pain is within the group or or especially at a presentation, you're here to solve things or resolve things or give them tips to move them on. I mean, it's like when you're going to be speaking here in a couple of days here in Colorado, whether it's in person or video for the remote people, is that their pain is they are fearful of opening their mouth. That's one of the pain factors. And that, or of saying the wrong thing, or creating the yawn factor and how to get over it. So what you have to do is capture them quickly and then move them through those steps of how they can do it. Did I sum that up?
You summed it up brilliantly. It reminds me of a presentation I did on the Bragg book a couple years ago to a group of entrepreneurs. And my opening statement was, how is your introduction working for you? And I said, do you need a couple tweaks? And a couple hands went up. I said, how about a major overhaul? And everybody else's hand went up, right? So again, when you want to, for my purposes, people need to build immediate credibility to sell themselves. That's usually my opening line when I'm talking with business owners or sales professionals, like realtors or mortgage people. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people that do that type of profession today, right? Yet, they don't know how to differentiate themselves. They just say, well, I'm a mortgage broker or I'm a realtor. Well, that doesn't really help you. But if you say, I'm in the top 3% of realtors worldwide or within the U.S., when you give the name of your company, that sets you apart. You must know what you're doing to have accomplished that kind of success. And then
so
here's another example.
Yeah, let me tap onto that mortgage thing because, and some of the most successful salespeople, and you work with salespeople, is that they understand the fear factor in dealing with a fear factor.
Correct.
So if I was the mortgage broker coming from where you are, and I had some longevity behind me, I would love to be able to say something like, of the thousands of clients that I've worked with during the mortgage crisis of 2007 to 2009, none of my clients lost their home. Do you think that would get somebody's attention?
Oh, absolutely. It reminds me of a true story. I had gone to a networking event, and the woman had attended a chamber event where I had been a speaker on how to brag. And she'd actually done the work, which is really inspiring to me as a writer and author, but also to her, because I said, I didn't call it the yawn factor, because that's something you and I just created, but I said, tell me what your old introduction was. And she said, I'm a roofer. I said, okay, good, so tell me your brag statement. She goes, in the past 35 years, we have installed, with no problems, 35,000 roofs. I was so impressed by what she had done that I was talking with somebody who's in mortgage. And, she was talking to me about the Bragg book, and I said, oh, I got to introduce you to this person. Listen to her Bragg statements. And so I had her do the old and the new, and she was so excited about the Bragg statements that she offered the woman 2 hot leads. And she turned to me and goes, I've had those leads now for a couple days, and I just didn't know what to do with them. I didn't really know any roofers that I wanted to share that with. But, that's impressive, being able to share herself in such a way that people got the value. They got the difference.
And when they get the value, or here's, Hyphen stole 30, what was the number of roofs she'd put on? What number did you say?
35,000.
I've installed 35,000 roofs and none of them leak. I mean, something like that. I mean, that first of all, you want a roof that doesn't leak, that stays put. So you immediately establish your expertise, 35,000 roofs, and you've given them results. Sounds good to me. You'd get my attention. I'd want to, and it ties into when I'm teaching people how to pitch. I said that when you're pitching, you want to establish 3 magic words, and either they say them or something, that is like what they are, or they're thinking them, and it's tell me more. So when someone throws out that I've built 35,000 roofs and not one of them has had a complaint or leak, that's a tell me more. Tell me more. So
exactly.
when are you available?
Yeah, how soon can you come, and how much is it going to cost? The funny thing is, pricing at that point is usually not a major problem. It's like,
and that is correct. No. And as someone who had to install a new roof a year ago, that's what I was after. When were you available? I knew the expertise. I had referrals, but that's really important. All right, we're going to be right back. We're going to take our final break. We're really talking about how to get your brag on, which is absolutely critical, essential for every author, every book. And so what I'd love to have Jeanette do some segues that there's bragging about the author, and also let's do some tips on how to brag about the book to bring them in. We'll be right back. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems, you want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, 3, 2, and 1. And in our final segment, I asked Jeanette Seibly, who is the author of a great, it's one of those little gem of a books, which I'm always a huge fan of. It's Time to Brag, the business edition. And she's really set the stage that you've got to get your inner confidence, how critical it is to be able to do that push out, that promo, that connection. And when you can do that, I'm going to guarantee you will get your book sales. If you don't do it, you become a limp presenter. And it's like someone with a limp handshake. You're wondering, really? You're not willing to connect? Your ability to brag is your ability to connect and to sell yourself as the expert, to sell your book and story as the storyline. And so what I would love to have Jeanette do in this final area, I mean, we went through the truths of if you can't sell yourself, you're not going to be able to sell your book, your service, your product, your consulting, your expertise, fill in the blank. And that this is always critical, and I've always said this, you have got to learn to do this yourself. If you think you can hire someone, this is what authors tell me all the time, Jeanette, well, I'll just hire someone to do all the marketing for you. Look you are the best marketer. Who knows your product better than you, and who knows you better than you? Learn how to do it concisely, succinctly, in as Jeanette said, 10 words or less at the opening segment. And then her third truth really is about book, that people enjoyed reading books that are written by authors that know how to share their brag statements. And so, Jeanette, maybe we'll reopen on that, come back to that, and then some of those factors to come in and examples.
Yeah, I'd like to start that off with telling a true story. It was really great story about a presenter. She's also an author, and she had done a number of presentations. She was well thought of, but she didn't really get any business on the backside. She didn't really sell her books, and so I talked to her about the brag factors. Put together some brag statements, and she just poo-pooed it. She thought, well, that's stupid, right? I just tell them that you need to buy the book because you need to buy the book. I go, yeah, well, I don't know that that's going to help you sell anything more, right? So you can imagine my surprise when I did attend one of her keynotes, and she must have done the brag work behind my back, because this introduction was just amazing. And she was just oozing with credibility, before she even spoke. And afterward, she got her wish. She had more than half of the room up there wanting to talk with her, wanting to buy the book, wanting to learn how to work with her. And all she did was learn how to brag. And it starts immediately. So, as an author, as a speaker, you need to set that up at the front end. If you're doing a sales presentation, if you're doing a pitch, that first sentence, those first, 10 words or less, you need to be able to pitch and sell yourself and get their attention. Otherwise, it probably isn't going to happen later on in your presentation. I can tell that story because, as authors, a lot of times how we do sell our books is that we are out there at events sharing a little bit about the history of our book, a little bit about ourselves, the difference they make. And again, we want people to walk away with value. And that's how we do it. That's how we differentiate ourselves.
And so what did she say exactly? Do you remember what her words were that did the hook?
I really don't. I mean, it was several years ago. I just remember she just poo-pooed the whole thing, thought it was silly. But yet she must have said, I don't know what else to do, and actually took the coaching. And it worked out for her. But it was a combination of things. It wasn't just like saying, hi, I'm so-and-so, and you need to read my book. It was nothing like that. It was how she put the whole thing together, the I am statement, that my background includes statement. So, again, it spoke to the audience. And, again, that's the other key. You can't just go in and start talking about travel when you're talking to a group of senior citizens. And, again, they'll buy your book, but many of them may not be, open to travel, or maybe they are. Then you go in and you talk with them about that. But you need to be aware of who your audience is and then talk with them appropriately, focus those brag statements appropriately. So, for example, if I'm in front of a group of human resource people, I'm not going to say, well, you need to buy my book to be able to sell your product. It's like, they don't have any product to sell, right? But if I say, if you want to help attract new hires, you need to engage them up front. You need to be able to sell your company such that they want to come work for you. Because in today's work environment, there's a lot of choices today. We've become more of an employer market. Where in the past, we've become more of an employee market, where in the past we had been more of an employer market, meaning today there are a lot more jobs than there are people. In the past, it was the other way around. So again, bragging, when I'm selling my own book, I need to be focused on my audience. And the same is what I would suggest to our listeners is really look to see, again, what is the value that you provide from their perspective? What is it that you can provide from their perspective? And I've heard you say that to authors before. Get out of your head and get over there with them. What is it that they need? Why is your book so important?
Well, in any presentation that I did when I was brought in with a group, I always had a pre-questionnaire deal that I put together, and I would ask the question, what are the 3 biggest challenges that members are reporting within the group? And I also actually would ask for a couple of key people to talk to get that. And I had even gone so far in some of the big presentations I did to do a survey. And I would write the survey up and give it to my meeting planner who would distribute it out, and I would have really unbelievable insight. So they thought I was one of them. I mean, I would tell you, Jeanette, I spent over almost 30 years speaking in healthcare. People thought, they knew I had a doctorate. They thought I was an MD or at least a nurse. I am neither. My doctorate's in business. I am neither, but I took their journals, I studied them, I knew what their problems were, I knew what their challenges were, I became one of them. And I've always said in this the speaking business, which is what authors need to understand, that they are speakers. They may not done full presentations like I used to, where sometimes I had thousands of people in the audience, but that they are speakers, whether it's to a group of 3 people or many people. And that you do have to get into their head, and you do have to understand the problems, and you do have to be that effective listener to come back to them. And I've always said this: it doesn't matter if you have an MBA, an MBA or a PhD. What you have to be is GOOD. And by being good is you have to have faith in yourself. You have to have confidence in yourself. That inner confidence that you talk about is so critical, that you know your topic. You're the author. You're the expert. So what's holding you back from letting the brag leak out a little bit at a time? Or maybe, as Jeanette's saying, you got to get it out boldy to really establish it, to hook them, so then you can lead them through the steps that you want to do. Which way works best? Is it really the bold bang, hit them big, or is it a gradual build up? Jeanette, have you got thoughts on that?
Usually, I like the shock factor or the bold factor for your first sentence, because you wake people up. I've seen people, in a presentation that they're half asleep, right? And we do my brag statements, and you could just see their head jerk up, right? And it's the same thing at a business networking meeting or, a meet and greet for authors, is if you just say, yeah, I've written a book, I'm an author, it's called snooze, right? But if you really want to wake them up, give them a bold statement, it's like, oh, wow. I did that at an event recently where it was just a small group of people, but they asked me, so I said, I've been at this for 24 years and created 3 millionaires, and I've written some books, 5 books. And, of course, I didn't say it quite that way. I said it in the sentence, but it was funny that they just look at me like, oh, my goodness, I've never heard anyone introduce themselves that way. Well, that's good, right? I mean, you want to have that awakened factor, right? It's like, wake up, let's have this conversation. Because if I just said, oh, I wrote this book and it's about so-and-so and such and such, you know, most people would check out.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of techniques. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's one technique that I wanted to share that, given the amount of time that we have, limited amount of time that we have left, and that's how to prepare yourself. So you've done the work. You've gone through the 5 exercises outlined in the front part of the book. It's how to sell yourself, how to do your KTAs, your I am statement, my background includes statement. But here's the key. This is what's going to help you get over yourself, so to speak, get over those fears, get over those hesitations, and boldly share what you do. And that is to put together those 5 statements and then get in front of a mirror and share to the person looking back at you in that mirror till the person gets it. Because for a lot of people, making those bold statements can be rather scary, right? Rather fearful. Oh, my goodness, what are they going to think about me? Well, the truth is they're going to probably think very well of you, as long as you're using brag factors. If you're saying, I'm great, wonderful, highly intelligent, highly qualified, great author, everybody loves me, you're right, no one's going to listen. But if you say, you know, I've written 5 books, my 5th book, my newest book is Time to Brag Business Edition, I find it helps people sell faster. And in fact, I had a woman who, within 30 days, closed $20,000 in business, having done her brag statement. So something like that really gets people's attention.
So you could actually flip it. I was going to say you could flip that. You could do a counter thing. You talk to an audience. So if you don't want to sell faster and increase your sales by $20,000 in the next month, don't buy my book. But if you do, I'll meet you at the back of the room. I mean, there are things that you can play with too.
Yeah, and that would be more to sum up. Yeah, because when you're introducing yourself, you want to stick with the I am, and you want to keep it positive, and you want to keep it 10 words or less. But as a summation, as an enticement to sell books at the back of the room at the end, absolutely. You know, really say, hey, are you committed to this? If you are, you need to get the book and do the exercises. There are no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts in life. It's like there's no shortcuts to selling a book. And Judith will tell all of us that, right? In fact, I'm going to do a little brag on her book. She's got this 101 book publishing blunders, bloopers, and boo-boos. And, you know, having written 35 books, you can just hear it come across these pages. It's just an amazing book. Again, that's a testimonial.
Thank you.
As people, as authors, need to provide our own testimonials. And this is on the back of my book from Vivica von Rosen, who's one of the top 50 Forbes social media influencers. And I love this quote. It says, sometimes we have to be our own testimonial. Learning how to tactfully and strategically brag can make a huge difference in the clients we attract and the business we do. And I just think that's a great summation to what I'm committed to doing, is helping people, helping authors, helping business owners and entrepreneurs get out there and make a positive difference.
And I would add an amen to that. So if you want to learn to go through those really succinctly, hands-on, step-by-step with reinforcement, those 5 critical steps, you want to be at the January 7th meeting at AuthorU. So join in. AuthorU.org under events. If you're live in Colorado, come. If you can't come, if you're tied up, even if you live in Colorado, or if you're in Texas or Oklahoma or wherever, doesn't matter. Just register and get the video the next day. And we always send whatever handouts come along too. So it's just a huge plus advantage to that. And with that, Jeanette, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm going to encourage everyone, do pick up a copy of Jeanette's book, It's Time to Brag, the business edition. And you will find it's fast, it's short, you can get into it and the steps. And it really is this about you? Absolutely. Is it about your success? No question. And that's really a great way to start 2017. Thanks again, Jeanette. We'll see you soon.
I look forward to it.
All right,
Thank
everyone.
You, Judith. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. Everyone, happy writing, happy publishing. Let's make this the best year ever with you at the forefront.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week, a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take you, the author, to the next level. You'll learn tips and secrets on how to create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve book publishing success by making one very simple change in your book's journey. How to avoid the publishing predators. How to create an author and book platform that rocks. Learn how to make a living with your words and your books. Learn how to publish a book that has no regrets, and so much more. For more information, check out AuthorU.org, where authors who want to be seriously successful go. And Judith's website, thebookshepherd.com. Then join us again here next week for more. It's Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific,